into bengisho ukuthi even umuntu engalahlekelwanga directly sithi maybe awufelwanga ihlobo sakho esiseduze but i-impact of genocide iyaku affecta kakhulu noma ungazange ufelo noma ngubaba ngumama ngumfowenu kodwa ke siyazi ukuthi iyakuhlupha kakhulu uthola ukuthi iziningi izinto ezithintwa i-genocide into ezifana nentuthuko nje thole into ezifana nabo education so wonke umuntu yamthinta vele into efana ne-genocide so singaxoxa nje kancane khona lapha nje bengithi sithi maybe Ibhetshu Likazulu njengoba sisazi ukuthi bebe erectile kuze ibhakane ngalena ePlaque concentration camp elisikhumbuzo sabantu abafa ngesikhathi seGround genocide mina ngithanda ukuyibiza kahle ngithi Matabeleland genocide uyazama futhi ukungena wePage ngizama ukumngenisa Fake City joining hayi iyehlula ibuye yamuyisa futhi kusho ukuthi i-network lapha khona ayikho strong yeah bengisasho ngithi Ibhetshu Likazulu beli erecti ilokhuzene ngale ibhakani ePlaque concentration camp esazi ukuthi abantu abaningi babethwala besiyafakwa lapho bethathwa besiyajikelwa emgodini lapha manje ke kuthe ngokusa wathola ukuthi ibhakani selikhishiwe kanti kunjalo ngo2018 babefake elinye futhi nalo ngokufanayo lakhishwa futhi la ntshontshwa so Skabati akusho ukuthi baba kuyini okwenza ukuthi into ezifana nama statues namabhakani zibe ziqhakatheke ebantwini usiza ngani kuba namabhakani afana nalawo
ngiyabonga Hoyane unjikela inyoka ephilayo but ngizazama ukuthi ngilokhuze ngi-explain a few things i-statue ama states by their very nature maybe asiqalise ngokuthi sithi sikhangele ilizwe leZimbabwe and lama states nje wonke singakhangela like in Africa and everywhere around the world ngitsho la khona apha e-UK esikhona you will realize ukuthi we function by way of symbolism and representation. Every time and again we are conjuring belonging because state formation is part of state formation. Of course, zoning into nationalism, abati nationalist pantheon, meaning our mindsets, our nationalism, they belong to a nation. But this is statue all the time. So statue is one thing that it does. It taps on memory. It is a memory of belonging, heroic acts of our past. It is about the history. It is about who we are. We must not forget that history to us as a people is like, you know, what a child is. It's like the relationship a child has with their mother. So history to us is the map of human geography. It is embalmed in these statues. These statues, they as it were, carry a very marked sense of symbolism and belonging. So immemorialization of into njengekukrawundi ifana xathu le memorialization of Holocaust.
Yeah.
If you go to Majdanek, if you go to Auschwitz, you will realize that they have erected some statues that carry symbolism of not only their suffering, but reenactment of the reasons why they were brutalized. So Plaque Liana was itself telling a narrative, a story. It is a plaque that had already existed for all these years. That plaque existed in our hearts. We have always had it. This is why even yesterday when it was announced, I said, look, we carry the plaque in our hearts because, like you said, all of us, one way or the other, are victims and survivors of genocide. And as a result, ama memories they will continue to live on. And the more we erect ama memorials ama memorial sites and they come and desecrate them, the more they actually help us in reviving this. Let me tell you something. What has happened? The removal or the desecration of the entire memorial site and the stealing they've done of Plaque has actually embalmed that thing, and they have engraved it in the tablet of time of actually memory. So it is now part of our heritage that we know Ikukrawundi lives. We know Ikukrawundi, we know it happened. We know it exists. We know it lives on. We now know that the Ikukrawundi that we witnessed, which was one of violence, has since been transformed to one of politics and cultural structures. We now know it. It even confirms it. I mean, imagine the coincidence that happened. I don't know whether everyone witnessed this, but imagine the coincidence. Something that happened which is so anecdotal, and we really have to acknowledge it and take note of it. Let us have this embalmed in our history. That at the same time, when the victims of such heinous crimes, Kukrawundi genocide, a serious crime against humanity, were actually memorializing the case of their suffering. A concentration camp at Palago. At that particular moment, the same murderers and thugs, the rapists who actually came and actually did all these, memorialize, were reinvigorating and actually stoking the embers of identity that actually caused them to carry out such a bigoted act. Befaga is tombes of this woman who we know is a constructed figure. In fact, we know she did not even participate in the liberation struggle. We know she did not even have a clue what was happening, because researchers have actually confirmed that Unehanda was a woman falsely accused, innocent woman falsely accused, because she had no clue what was happening. But they have canonized her. And what happened yesterday was canonization of or reinvigoration of Shona nationalism. The same Shona nationalism that actually helped them to stoke the fires of Ikukrawundi. So it was so coincidental that at the same time, ama victims, ama survivors Ikukrawundi, bekhuluma ngekukrawundi, bekhumbula okwenzakalayo, we are finding ourselves with these people. The same ones who have captured the state now, who actually carried out this Kukrawundi genocide, such a terrible act on our people, were reinvigorating their identity and also calling themselves Zimbabwe. And let me end by saying another problem that I've seen, which explains why these statues continue to be important and why they should be considered as important. You see, our people have always looked at, they have always talked about the narrative of Kukrawundi, the story of their suffering, from the perspective of them being Zimbabweans. Kukrawundi is not a Zimbabwean problem. It has never been a Zimbabwean problem. It will never be a Zimbabwean problem. In fact, what happened yesterday was a confirmation that Kukrawundi is not a Zimbabwean problem. the Shona people who by right are the Zimbabweans do not even identify with Kukura. They don't even see it as a problem, which is why constantly they are reminding us every now and again that whenever they get an opportunity to say, let bygones be bygones, they always have these terms that they use to try and tell us, look, let us, put it, let us shelve it in this shelf of history and try to look at the life, the future and forget about it, forgetting that we cannot actually forget what happened to us. So you see, our problem as a people as well has been that we have constantly found ourselves within the zone of our oppressors who defined how we should see the world, who we should think we are, and we have refused to come out of that zone. Constantly, we look at our suffering based on that zone and the prism they have given us. I think it's time now that the people of Matabele begin to re-narrate their identity, re-narrate their suffering. They should hinge it on the cause and course of Kukuraun. What exactly inspired ZANU and the Shona nationalists to actually perpetuate Kukuraun to the extent that is Tola Siguyo? That itself is the thing that our people should be using to understand why I am arguing all the time that Kukuraun is not, and I will repeat, it is not a Zimbabwean problem. Also problem yom shoni Kukuraun, the problem yom from Matabele, and it will remain like that until such a time when we really redefine our course and the course of action that we have to take. What in Imekona?
Okay, no, siyabonga kakhulu kodwa ke kunombuzo engithanda ukuthi ngibuze wona before ulokho ngifuna ukulandelela kulokho kwakukhuluma uthe i-desecration yelokhuzela ye-plaque leyana ubone nganithwa it's a good thing in a way uma usho njalo uthi it's a good way, it's a good thing in a way. Uzama usichazelani lapho?
Wayane, I think having suffered for too long in life, I have learned to, the simple statement that says, when life gives you lemons, what do? You make lemonade, right? Maybe learning from just that simple statement, having suffered so much in life, I have learned to see what life throws at me, sometimes the positive value of it. I have learned to be positive and see the functionality of things that happen around me. And when I look
at ngicela ukubamba kancane. Ngubaba uSibando sengenile. Baba Sibanda, Ibhetshu Likazulu. Baba Sibanda. Ibhetshu Likazulu ongenile ubani? Ube sengenile kodwa ke sewile futhi. Baba Sikabati.
Yebo onkana.
Usewile futhi hayi ungaqhubeka baba ngiyaxolisa.
Yeah, well, I may have lost my train of thoughts, but I'll try to revisit what I was trying to say.
That's fine.
I was saying, having suffered this much, and for a long time in my life, to the extent, finding myself where I am, I have learned to take what life throws at me by looking at the positive values of what life throws at me. I have tended to look at the functionality of what life gives me. Sometimes there are positive opportunities. You see, we are aware that they meted Kukurahundi, such a terrible thing, on the people of Matabele and on us. We are the victims, we are the survivors. There are things we cannot turn the hands, we cannot turn back the hands of time. But we can harness the potential that this thing is doing, and we must learn maybe from other people who have traveled the same road that we are traveling. the people of the Jews who have gone through this rather during the Holocaust, the people of Rwanda who have experienced this. I have had the opportunity of sharing notes with all these people who have been victims and survivors of this. And one of the things that I've learned is that in these different case studies or scenarios, or rather situations, these people have been able to harness the potential that this thing has given them to become who they are, conjuring their identities, you know, including helping them to reshape their cultural values as a people by asking themselves every day, why did we have to face all this? Did we deserve it? No, we didn't. But how did we come out of this and how can we come out of it? Now, I am saying, looking at what has just happened, the desecration of the memorial site, and of course, the plaque itself, the fact that it carries so much of symbolism and it has been taken away. That itself, combined with the broader Kukurahundi thing that we have gone through for all these years. Remember, Kukurahundi is a living thing. Yeah. It is with us. We are in diaspora today because of Kukurahundi. There have been so many opportunities and we have seen marginalization in all its facets, in all its, terms. Now, with all this, now with what happened yesterday, all these should galvanize us, should mobilize us into understanding what it's a form of representation. It helps us to understand what exactly does Kukurahundi mean to these people who committed it, these people who are perpetuating it to this day on our people, on us, what it means to them, what it should also mean to you and me in terms of redefining our course as a people, in terms of redefining our identity as a people. We are in this situation where someone knows who you are, and you are refusing to accept that this person is directly calling you who you are, identifying you. The proper way he is identifying you is that umuntu emaTebeleland, to them you are like matter out of place, intoed. That's not supposed to be there. And they are doing everything in their powers to continue to label you that way. And bakubona ukuthi ungumndebele uvele emaTebeleland uyiloko wena lokho salo sitting in Zimbabwe. This is where I am saying, I think with all these things that are happening and what just happened, we must begin to collect all these, find meaning and representation out of them that will help us to chart a proper course of action as a people. Where do we see ourselves 20 years from now? Where do we see ourselves 50 years from now? Where do we hope abantwana bethu abazalandela 70 to 100 years from now? Where will they see themselves? And how will they see themselves as a people? Because if you and me, Woyane, hope in diaspora will help us survive the vagaries of this thing, the Turkish behavior these Kukuraundis are still perpetuating on our people. Because constantly we are reminded where we are, that we don't belong actually. Every day, you and me, where did you come from? Where do you come from? When did you come? When are you going back? Where is this back? This back is where there are these vagaries are happening, where this thing that happened yesterday continues to happen in our people's daily lives. Now we are called to action. It's time our people begin to reinvigorate this thought process, these thought lines about the course of action that they should take as a people and redefine their identities. This is where I am saying there is a marked sense of representation that we see out of what happened yesterday.
I know, Baba Spanda, Eliakim.